Hello, and welcome to another issue of In My Opinion. Been a very busy month. Right at the top here, I want to talk about the town election. You probably heard who won already, because that was on TV. But I have an analysis. The average turnout was 17%. And Precinct 1 had 20%, and Precinct 6 had 20%. All the rest had less. Let me see, 2 had 14%, 3 had 14%, Precinct 4 was 13%, Precinct 5, 17%, Precinct 8 was 19%, Precinct 7 was 16%. Again, we didn't exactly break any records here. But the selectmen were John LeBeau, John Samia, and Dale McGee and Lindsay Heffernan for the school committee. Trustees for the public library was Jeffrey Billingham, Nancy Gilbert, and Anne Marie Cronin Bird. Housing authority was Paul M. Campaniello. And I want to thank everybody who ran. It was a spirited election. And I want to thank Precinct 6 for returning me to the town meeting. Appreciate that. And all this information is available at the town hall. And very helpful people over there. Okay. Second item up tonight, or today, is the Shrewsbury's Mystery Road. I knew about this from a long time ago. I've been doing this about 14 years now, and when I came in, the old timers at the time were talking about this. The reason this came into my sights was I was at the men's club meeting, which is great. If you want to have a good time with some good guys, every Thursday, 9 o'clock till about 10:30, 11. It's coffee and donuts. $2 to come in, and we always have really good speakers. A week or so ago, we had the town manager, and he was going through all the construction projects that are coming up. It's going to be a very busy summer. And one of the things he mentioned was that St. John's is going to be expanding. I think a middle school is going to be there, or some portion of that. It's going to be attached, I understand, to the present building. But there's going to be another building in there for some sort of activities. And it wasn't clear where that was going to go. So I mentioned that. Anyway, so I went over to the engineering department, and I got the map, which should be up in front of you on the screen. And it's very, very interesting because you can see sort of in the top third of it, there's like a squiggly snake going through the Worcester Foundation property. This map was done in '92, but it doesn't really show the town hall and that kind of stuff. But anyway, so you've got this little squiggly snake going through that foundation property. It starts over at Main Street at just west of St. John's entrance. And it goes through the foundation property, and then goes right to Maple Avenue, right across the street from Oak Street. And the reason why I'm very interested in this is that we have terrible traffic jams in the center, and we need another north-south route in town. If this road was completed, people coming down Main Street who wanted to get south of Shrewsbury could do that, taking that road, or people who normally come down 140 and over to South Street could actually take that road too. Anyway, it would give us some more ways to get across town. Also, it would be easier for fire trucks and police to get from Maple Ave over to over to Main Street and vice versa. So that's what that's about. I talked to the town manager. I gave him all this information that I got from engineering. Engineering's a really cooperative group. Very, 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 very easy to work with. So I gave all this to the town manager, and he's going to bring it up the next time they're talking about roads. But basically, in 1992, this is the Quitclaim Deed from the Worcester Foundation for Experimental Biology and the town of Shrewsbury. It looks like from this that we paid $720,000 for that property. I call it the horse show property because I remember when they used to have jumping contests there. But it's the Worcester Foundation stuff. And this was dated September 8th, 1992. And there's like 8 pages of this. Again, this is all available online or from the engineering department. So you should have that in front of you to look at. There's 100. I didn't know this is 100. It was 19.7 acres. Anyway, that's the name of that tune. Next up, stormwater. You know, this one really bothers me a lot. As you know, on the town meeting warrant, there's an article to to fund this with town tax money to get it started. And then everybody's going to pay roughly, they say $90 for most people a year. If it's larger than that, the property gets larger, they pay more. It's got a utility, and I'm really concerned about this because all the costs for the employees, the benefits, I think even the retirement and the insurance is going to go into this utility. And it's uncontrolled because it's a utility. The fees can be raised without asking anybody. No votes by town meeting. And we're talking about $1.8 million of our tax money starting this thing off. And these fees, these utilities, I mean, those are taxes. You know, people will call it different names. Say, "Oh no, it's not. It's a tax. It's a service you are mandated to pay to the town for this stormwater utility." I think I had that over here. Yeah. Well, I did my research on this, and there's 4. If this gets voted down, and I hope it gets voted down at town meeting, this is what happens. Okay, there's 4 different ways you can finance this $1.8 million a year. One is through taxing us and kicking it off with a contribution from our taxes. But the tax is absolutely unnecessary in my opinion. It's an end around the authority of the town meeting and the voters. It establishes a bureaucracy using an appointed, unelected, and non-responsible people. It's true we have to address the federal and state mandate regarding stormwater management. However, the way to finance the project is flawed. The administration proposals a confusing method of charging. You see the thickness of the regulations. It's really amazing. And on the back side of one of the pages of the quote-unquote legislation, if you have an appeal Let's say that you owe $1,000 a year for stormwater. You can appeal that. But there's an appeal process and there's forms. And on the back of one of the forms, it states that the person making the appeal, that is you, the taxpayer, has to come up with the money to pay for any consulting work or anything related to the appeal. You have to pay that in advance before the work even starts. So, you know, it just blows my mind. Anyway, there's 4 ways we can do this, okay? We have a $140-odd million budget. If that's reduced by 1.3% across the board, all departments, that's the $1.8 million you need to do this project. You don't need the bureaucracy. There's no appeals. There's no, it's just the problem goes away. You got the money. Now everybody's going to wring their hands, in my opinion, and they're going to say, oh, we need this, we can't lose that, oh, 1.3%. You know, the last time I think the library building cost us $60 a month, or $50 a month on our tax bill. That's well over 1.3%. We didn't complain about it, we just paid the money. And I had multi-million-dollar budgets for years, and I had 3 departments, about 3 departments, yeah, fully, and about 50 people. And if we had to make a cut of 5%, we would just do it. There wouldn't be any weeping and crying and complaining. We would just do it. 1.3%. I mean, you know, you have a bad year or something. You don't work for a week. That's 2% of your money, right there, that you wouldn't get. So I think that 1.3% is fine. You're going to find people complain about that, but it's really not necessary. Just not cut the budget. Yeah, that's nothing, 1.3%. There's more money that comes into the town. One is the turnback monies. That's money that was appropriated and comes back. For the last 3 years, the turnback has been $2 million a year on average. $2 million a year. That's more than we need to fund this whole thing for a year. We could use some free cash. We've got free cash. We're spending several $1 million of that this year on things. Or, fourth, in a way I think this thing should be done, if the budget can't be cut by 1.3%, then this is really an operational override. It's going to go to run the utility. What's really scary here is that there is no incentive to keep budgets in line. If there's $1.8 million collected by the fees for the utility, then that leaves more money available each year for the town to spend. It's an override. It's just an end run around the override rules. I know there's going to be 2 engineers, plus all the money associated with that, running that utility. And if for some reason the utility needs some more money, the 5-member unelected appointed board can raise it simply by say we need more money. So that's that's my position on this. I don't think we have to do it. We certainly don't have to start another utility. All these utilities collect fees that are sort of off budget. All right. What else about this? Yep, it's a tax. Oh, by the way, I did research the turnbacks to the town. 2016 was 2,200. 2017 it was 1,400, and 2018 it was just about $2 million again. And for the school, for those same 3 years, there was 0, 0, and 0 turned back. Now they've got a huge budget, a humongous budget. I think if you figure in all the items, on all the expenses and all the services they get that are not reported as expenses, they've got 70% of the budget. So, you know, they could find 1.3%. They'll say they won't. All the kids are going to have terrible educations. I don't think that's true. But I'd sure like to see them try that. So, okay. I'm just checking the time there. We did have a meeting about the stormwater tax. Shrewsbury for Responsible Taxation had this meeting a couple of months ago, and we discussed the same thing. There was a what do you call it? A public hearing, quote unquote, about this. It was held at night, well, early evening, around between 5 and 6 o'clock, and it was held at the. No, I'm sorry, wrong item. Cancel that. We did have a meeting, but it was they had about 50 people there. That was at the town hall. I'm sorry, and. Everybody that got up spoke against it. There was nobody there to speak in favor of it. But everything was done, as they say, legally. But I just don't think it was done correctly. So get ready to stop paying those fees. Now, they say they're not going to go up for 10 years or whatever. I don't think that's true. This thing is going to get out of control real fast. When it comes to water, that's a really tricky subject. We're trying to find 1 million gallons a day, and haven't been able to do that. It looks very innocent right now. Different sizes pay different fees. They run anywhere from $75 for really small properties, up to $350 for between 4 and 5 acres. And then additionally, acres like $50 each. Also inspection fees to pay, $350. So, you know, not a good idea. All right, so people are a little, I know it sounds silly, but some people are confused between runoff and regular water. The runoff is what comes down your roof, or out your gutters, and goes out into the street and goes down to the storm sewers. And a lot of people still don't understand the difference. But we're going to have to treat all that water eventually. Oh, an impervious area. That's really interesting. One of the things that is not included is the roads and sidewalks will not be included in the calculation, even though they're obviously impervious. So the taxpayers are going to get stuck with this whole thing. Even the town's going to have a portion of that stormwater, and that's going to be figured into the costs that the individual taxpayers are going to save. And they're saying that the utility is different than a tax, and there's 2 or 3 paragraphs that decide why. But I still say it's a tax. All right, so that's the stormwater thing. That hasn't changed. I hope that the town meeting will vote it down, because The world will not end. We will still go on. The sun will rise. The only difference is that the administration will have to manage the money and stay within the bounds of Prop 2.5 unless they do an override. Okay, senior housing. I've been on this case for quite a while now. The plan, my proposal is, and in my opinion, it's the best use of the Beale property, the old Beale School property, is to convert that, put an addition onto it, and have it service around 60 Shrewsbury Housing Authority apartments for the seniors and others. This has already been done in Natick, East Boston, and they convert these schools. Just because a school is 100 years old doesn't mean it can't be used. And they're doing some in Worcester now for housing at market prices. They call it affordable housing, but it really isn't. Anyway, the biggest problem, and this has been confirmed by several people, the biggest problem that the people in housing authority units have today is transportation. I visited them all, and it's always the problem. We have our vans in town, and those people do a really great job, but there just isn't enough vans or volunteers to run them. And the vans have to be parked around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you have a doctor's appointment at 2 o'clock, you can't even get there unless you take a cab ride, and that's a minimum of $10 each way. So how do we solve the transportation problem, or make it less? You build some apartments for the elderly through the Shrewsbury Housing Authority at the old Beale School. It's a win-win-win situation. First of all, it's a win for the seniors, because they're going to actually be part of the community instead of out in the outskirts. You know, they plunk these things out where we have property, out away from the center, and then we forget about them. And I say we as a community. We build great schools, we build great fire stations, we're going to build a new police station. Everything is beautiful, except for the senior housing. People forget about it, even though the Housing Authority does a super job. Anyway, the seniors win because they're going to be downtown. They can go to get a haircut, they can go to the pharmacy, they can go to the post office, they can walk to the senior center, walk to the library. It's a perfect spot for senior housing. Second, the town of Shrewsbury wins. There's less traffic at these housing authorities. They're quiet. They're not noisy. We don't need additional traffic going through the center, and there will be less because of this. And finally, the WRTA is a winner. This is our Route 15. I don't know if you can see that. Route 15, great bus. I see it every day going up and down, half empty. A wonderful thing about bus 15. It starts off in down by City Hall in Worcester. It goes over to UMass Medical Center, goes up around in there, comes down, goes around the Lakeway District in Shrewsbury. Then it goes up Maple Avenue, all the way up to, Main Circle, and comes back down. Perfect. Guaranteed. The bus company's going to get some monthly passes out of the 60 people living in the old Beale School. So it's a win-win situation. We have to, we had a committee on it, but I sat in those meetings, and there's a lot of real estate people and contractors involved. and of course the town representatives. There's several of those in there. And the emphasis is on maximizing the tax revenue. Let's maximize this tax revenue. You know, when we build a school, we don't maximize the tax revenue. When we build a fire station, we don't maximize the tax revenue. The library doesn't maximize the tax revenue. That's all part of how your community relates to its citizens. And I believe it's time now that we, you know, do something for the Shrewsbury Housing Authority people. Not for them, but for the seniors occupying their buildings. We're going to have to probably raise some money, but it takes political will to do it. And real estate people, and you know, I had my real estate license years ago. It's the highest and best use of the property that's important to real estate people. And that means more and more businesses to pay taxes. So I think that's the wrong approach to take, but you know, I'm just one person. In my opinion, I hope people get together. We've already got a petition started for some people on that. Well, I can see we're winding down. We've got less than 2 minutes. Time flies when you're having fun. Oh, we are. I am a member of the Senior Center Building Committee, and chairman is Lillian Clifford. So if there's anything you think the Senior Center Building Committee should look at, now we've got some automatic doors put in. We've had some upgrades to the bathrooms, more safety bars, and we're working on some ramps getting out to the, trying to get some ramps going out to the patio. So we've done some work. If you need anything, you know, my name's across the scroll. Give me a call if you have any thoughts on that, or if you want to join the committee. Anyway, it's winding down. My name is Ben Tartaglia. Thank you for viewing this episode of In My Opinion, and we'll see you next time.